Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me is Ethan Chernofsky, Vice President of Marketing at Placer.ai, to discuss retail earnings expectations, consumer spending habits, and expectations for holiday 2020. And Ethan, you and the retail strategists out there, you have a couple of busy weeks coming up between hitting the thick of earnings season, an accelerated holiday 2020 season, and trying to figure out what the footprint looks like for 2021. So let's talk about earnings and what you expect to hear from the companies that you follow.
So I think we're expecting to have a much more positive earnings season than we may have had a quarter before. And it's because we are seeing the recovery start to pick up pace. We are seeing brands across different retail sectors show stronger and stronger performances, better and better steps forward towards their chase of 2019 levels of traffic. And as that continues, it should give a lot of confidence heading into a really important holiday season.
And let's talk about those consumer spending habits because, of course, we saw the trend of e-commerce really digging into brick and mortar. And certainly with the acceleration of that trend as a result of COVID-19, do you think consumers, now that they understand their shopping can be done at home and virtually, will continue to stay with e-commerce, or will it be a combination of the two?
I mean, I think it's going to be a combination of the two. And it's also really important to remember that even when we saw really large growth numbers in e-commerce, which was expected, still a huge portion of the growth in revenue that we saw for brands like Walmart or Target was increases in basket size. And it just shows you that the power of offline retail is still really, really significant. And many visitors are showing and shoppers are showing that they have a preference for the offline experience. And as soon as we see these stores able to open back up, as soon as we see COVID cases start to drop in specific states and regions, we do see those visits return.
Yeah, you and I have had this conversation before, as well as other retail strategists I meet with, even before going into the pandemic. It really was about that omni-channel experience, right? Having a good online experience, a great experience in the store. I mean, we saw transformation of shopping malls become a family destination with restaurants and indoor parks and stuff like that. So I feel like it's that omnipresence that they need to achieve for future success.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about meeting the customer where they want to be met at that specific time, but it's also about creativity. So we look at a brand like Best Buy that, before reopening all of their stores completely, they opened their stores to appointment only shopping. And that allowed them to mitigate losses early on in that recovery period while still focusing on social distancing. And this is something that could be leveraged by apparel retailers, department stores, malls in general to create not just an experience that allows them to maximize the coming months, but in some ways a more exciting experience. If I know I can get something personalized and focused on me, that gives me more of a reason to want to come. And how I build that through all of my different assets, whether they be online or offline, is going to be critical in creating that extensive, robust consumer experience.
Yeah, I would agree with you, particularly when it comes to the technology side of things. I would love it if you can make an appointment with an associate. They're focused exclusively on you and you can ask a million questions away. So I think that's a great strategy. But Ethan, let's talk about expectations for holiday 2020. I mean, as we're recording today, it's October 13th, the first of two Amazon Prime days. Do you feel as if retailers are pushing it back further and further?
I think they're going to try and make it as long of a period as possible. So, we've already heard Home Depot and Target and Walmart talk about extending deals earlier into November and even into October. But it's also really important to remember that there is a second peak for many retailers in late December. So Target, Walmart, many others actually see more visits to their stores in the 3 days prior to Christmas than they do in Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and that Saturday of that same weekend. So the idea that these brands can find other ways and other days to bring in those visits and bring that value is not something we haven't seen before. And it's just about who's going to have creative approaches and who's going to execute effectively.
Yeah, because I'm 100% that person who's December 24th running around like a crazy person trying to find gifts. Although that might change this year. I don't have to worry about my commute back and forth, and I will have some time to perhaps go to the store in advance or actually order on Amazon Prime Day. But to wrap up here, I always think it's interesting, and having worked in retail a million years ago, it's the week after Christmas too. And I wonder how promotional they're going to be as they know people are coming in to return gifts or use gift cards. And that's a great opportunity for sales too.
Yeah, absolutely. And you touch on something that's so important because, especially if e-commerce is a bigger element of your growth engine, returns are going to be a bigger piece of the puzzle. And so you need to have this strategy in place for how are we going to deal with that second wave of people when they come back into stores. But it all starts with what are the different assets we have available to us and how do we maximize them to create an experience that is maximized to help these brands thrive in the current environment.
All right, Ethan, great to catch up with you as always. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks.
Thanks for having me. It was great to be here.
You got it. And thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.